Hello, my name is Li Kim. Today I will share with you why there is no democracy for Dorje Shugden practitioners. Clearly because the Central Tibetan Administration, CTA in short, in Dharamsala, North India is not truly democratic. The actions and resolutions made by the CTA towards the Dorje Shugden practice and practitioners are far from democratic. In fact, it is blatantly discriminatory and prejudice. The executives of the CTA either have no conscience or are simply ignorant with how to apply democracy. Before I go further, please bear with me as I share with you essence of a democracy. As this is not a political science seminar, I will spare us the lengthy details and summarize the key ingredients of a democracy. Instead of quoting you lengthy definitions, I will quote Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. He said it best in his short and precise phrase: democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The element of freedom is one fundamental principle in a democracy. And to uphold this freedom, there is constitutional government, human rights, and equality before the law. This must apply for the public good, which means for the many and not only for the privileged few. Democratic governments consist of officials or representatives who are elected by the citizens to make political decisions, formulate laws, and administer programs for the public good. Again, I repeat, for the majority and not just the few. So, when you read on the CTA's website, which is accessible to the public, to the world in fact, resolutions that prohibit and forbid the worship of Dorje Shugden, who the CTA deliberately insults with the derogatory term Dogel, which means evil spirit. What are you to think? How are you supposed to think? Is this democratic? Where is the fundamental principle of freedom? Yes, I am aware that it says you can choose on the website. I know. But what I want to highlight is the clear threat of punishment if you exercise the freedom of religion, simply by quoting what's on the website. Having said this, it is up to individuals themselves to decide as they like. We cannot force anyone to do anything against his or her wish. However, we would like to empathetically plead to the Shugden worshippers that they should stop taking tantric initiations and teachings from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that in the hearts and minds of all Tibetans, the Dalai Lama is their spiritual leader, their king. To not hear or see him is punishment. It is frightening to the normal Tibetan. And of course, he or she will give up their freedom to choose Dorje Shugden. And I must add this one, because it's just too disturbing for me to keep quiet. In the CTA's website, there is this resolution. People should send as much report as possible so that the local government and concerned central government departments of India are kept informed of the activities of Shugden supporters. Seriously? Is it a crime to practice your religion that it must be reported to the authorities? And to add on, send as much as you can. Is there nothing else to do? In other democratic societies, matters of church and state are separated. Religious freedom is a guarantee in the Constitution. Let me read you some examples and we can compare. United States. Constitution of the United States. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Clearly, Church and state separated. Australian Constitution Act. The Commonwealth shall not make any law for establishing any religion or for imposing any religious observance or for prohibiting the free exercise of any religion, and no religious test shall be required as a qualification of any office or public trust under the Commonwealth. Is that the same with the CTA? No. In fact, if you practice Dorje Shugden, you can't have a job with the government departments or its affiliates. You know? So if you practice Dorje Shugden, no work for you. Next one. The basic law of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China. Hong Kong residents shall have freedom of conscience. Hong Kong residents shall have freedom of religious belief and freedom to preach and to conduct and participate in religious activities in public. The government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region shall not restrict the freedom of religious belief, interfere in the internal affairs of religious organizations, or restrict religious activities which do not contravene the laws of the region. Freedom of religion sounds like that, ladies and gentlemen. Constitution of the Arab Republic of Egypt. All citizens are equal before the law. They are equal in rights, freedoms, and general duties without discrimination based on religion, belief, sex, origin, race, color, language, disability, social class, political or geographic affiliation, for any other reason. Discrimination and incitement of hatred is a crime punished by law. The state shall take necessary measures for eliminating all forms of discrimination, and the law shall regulate creating an independent commission for this purpose. This is what democracy sounds like. Is it the same for CTA? Yeah, in the charter. But when it comes to inciting hatred against the Dorje Shugden people, I don't see no law punishing the perpetrators. I'm going to read out the Constitution for Canada. Every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination, and in particular, without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. Now, like I said, this is not a political science class. Last one, my last example. The Federal Constitution of the Swiss Confederation. No person may be discriminated against, in particular on grounds of origin, race, gender, age, language, social position, way of life, religious, ideological, or political convictions, or because of a physical, mental, or psychological disability. Freedom of religion and conscience is guaranteed. Every person has the right to choose freely their religion or their philosophical convictions, and to profess them alone or in community with others. Every person has the right to join or to belong to a religious community and to follow religious teachings. No person may be forced to join or belong to a religious community, to participate in a religious act, or to follow religious teachings. People in Switzerland can choose, and they have a right to attend teachings. But on the website of the CTA, sorry, if you practice Dorje Shugden, you cannot attend the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Ridiculous, don't you say? What can I say? Reading the rights on religious freedom from other countries only makes it so clear that what is happening to the Dorje Shugden practitioners by the CTA is wrong. Not only just wrong, it is unlawful. Let me take you one step further. Let's look at the Charter of the Tibetans in Exile. Article 6. Article 6 is recognition of international and local law. So, all laws, ordinances, regulations, administrative and executive orders of the Tibetan administration in exile shall conform to the generally accepted principles of international law and in particular comply with the local laws of the host countries. This means that, for example, those who are living in Switzerland or Canada, I have read you their constitution. The Tibetans in exile who are living there should not bring with them all their bad attitude of discrimination, attacking Dorje Shugden practitioners. They cannot bring that with them to the countries that practice religious freedom. Now, going back to the Charter of the Tibetans in exile, in Article 6, they say that they have to comply with international law. So let's just read the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Freedom, choice. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others and in public or private to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Is the CTA granting such rights to Dorje Shugden practitioners? No. So the CTA, the government, is in Dharamsala, North India, which means India is the host country, which means the Tibetan government needs to comply with the Constitution of India, which says, the state shall not discriminate against any citizen on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. No citizen shall, on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, and any of them, be subjected to any disability, liability, restriction, or condition with regard to access to shops, public restaurants, hotels, and places of public entertainment, or the use of wells, tanks, bathing places, roads, and places of public resort maintained wholly or partly out of state funds or dedicated to use of general public. What's happening in the Tibetan settlements in India? There are signs like this that says, no entry to you, you're not welcome because you practice Dorje Shugden. Continuing in the Constitution of India. No citizen shall, on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, descent, place of birth, residence, or any of them, be ineligible for or discriminated against in respect of any employment or office under the state. Like I said earlier, it states on CTA's website that if you worship Shugden, you are reminded not to. Basically, you won't get a job with the government. You won't be able to work with this, hold any position in the offices of the CTA. That's what it means, as nicely as they write it, or as correctly as they write it. That's what it means. Subject to public order, morality, and health, and to the other provisions of this part, all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right freely to profess, practice, and propagate religion. So, why not DS practitioners? Why not? I can go on and on and on, but I think you get the picture. So my question is the CTA in compliance with their own charter? Let's have a look at two more examples. Article 9, Equality before the law. All Tibetan citizens shall be equal before the law and shall enjoy the rights and freedoms set forth in the Charter without discrimination on grounds of birth, sex, race, religion, language, lay or ordained status, social origin, rich or poor. Is that for Dorje Shugden practitioners? No, no, no. Dorje Shugden practitioners don't get to enjoy the rights of Article 9. Article 10, religious freedom. All religious denominations are equal before the law. Every Tibetan shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. These religious rights include the freedom to manifest one's belief, to receive initiation into religious traditions, and to practice with matters relating to religious commitments, such as preaching or worship of any religion, either alone or in community with others. So, why not for Dorje Shugden practitioners? Hello, CTA. You are writing this in your charter, and it doesn't seem to be what you're executing or what you're implementing. Clearly, there is something very wrong here. Are these articles in the charter applicable to all Tibetans in exile except Dorje Shugden practitioners? This is injustice. This is discrimination. There is no democracy for Dorje Shugden practitioners. President Losang Sangye of the CTA delivered a lecture at Emory University School of Law on April 9th, 2018. He spoke about the Tibetan people's transition to secular democracy. Interesting, right? What he delivered was all good and dandy if you were not a Dorje Shugden practitioner. Hence, I think the lecture should have been called The Execution of Selective Democracy. On the side, let's practice some severe discrimination. That's what I think, of course. Let me explain a little bit further, bear with me, why the CTA's lack of democracy towards the Dorje, not lack actually, let me correct myself, why there is no democracy for Dorje Shugden practitioners. I'm going to go into this very quickly. Social welfare, Article 16 of the Charter. The Tibetan Administration in exile shall endeavour to secure appropriate means of providing sources of livelihood, happiness, and mental and physical well-being for the Tibetan people. These policies shall include the promotion of equal opportunity and adequate means of livelihood, equal pay for equal work, either within the Tibetan administration or any other institutions under the jurisdiction, and equal taxation in accordance with the amount of income. Like I said earlier, you don't get to work for them if you worship Dorje Shugden. Equal? Equal is like this, not like that. Like everyone else up here, Dorje Shugden practitioners down here. Hello? And what happiness when you have signs like this in shops? Sorry, you practice Dorje Shugden, no entry for you. You are not welcome. Another example. Not welcome, stay out, get out, bye-bye, you practice Dorje Shugden. Education and culture, Article 17. The Tibetan administration shall abide by the United Nations Declarations of the Rights of the Children and shall provide the Tibetan children in exile who have reached school age the opportunity for primary education. No, no, no. That's not what is given to Dorje Shugden practitioners. You practice Dorje Shugden, no school for you. Stay home. No school for you, no shopping, no school, no medical care. We'll come to that. Here you go. No education for you. You practice Dorje Shugden. Please do not come in and explore the teaching program. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is their spiritual teacher. Attending his talks is education. It's culture. But no, cannot, not you. You practice Dorje Shugden. No teachings for you. Blah. Last one. Article 18, Health. The Tibetan administration shall endeavour to promote adequate health, medical and sanitation services and provide free medical treatment for the needy. It shall conduct special medical care programs for immunization and chronic illnesses and educate people on environmental issues. Oh, no, no, no. You practice Dorje Shugden, please enjoy bad health. There's no medical care for you. Stay out. Get sick. We don't care. Another one. Clinic, but not for you. You practice Dorje Shugden. Not for you. Stay sick. Be sick. After you hear all that, doesn't it make you kind of sick in your stomach. Lobsang Sangye goes around the world, places, travels to talk about democracy. Seriously? I don't know. I think my stomach will turn. But never mind that. Let's just talk about what's available online. Just in case they can't really access the charter and get a copy of it. No, can't get a hard copy. Let's just have a look. This is what they have online. Can you please tell me which government on this planet puts in so much effort, dedicates one whole section on Dogel, Dorje Shugden, how bad it is, and blah, 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 blah. Now, over here, you will notice 1996, 97, 2014, they're very progressive. They're very dedicated to update this part of the website. They're very committed to ensure you take notice so that you can maintain and upkeep your discrimination against Dorje Shugden practitioners, upkeep the fact that no democracy for them. You know, the way they write, it has improved. They bring in the Dalai Lama a lot. They are compliant to the Dalai Lama. They're listening to the advice of the Dalai Lama. A real democracy, church and state are separated. In this democracy, bring in the church, mix up the state, so that we get to be right, so that we practice no democracy for Dorje Shugden practitioners. Here's the best part, the way they write it. You know, listen to this one. Recognition should be given to those who followed Shugden in the past out of ignorance, but have now given up the practice. Efforts should be made to ensure that they do not suffer as a result of having given up the Shugden practice. What is the Tibetan government trying to say? Dorje Shugden practitioners are ignorant? They practice out of ignorance? And the way they write it, yes, you are recognized, you're honored for giving it up. And then they say, you must be careful for your safety now. What are they saying? Shugden practitioners are violent? And that if you choose to follow the Dalai Lama, they're going to beat you up? But the way it's written here, they're inciting. The way it's written here, they're provoking that to happen. Even if it doesn't happen, you read this, it will happen. Oh, talking about dedication. Yeah, dedication, dedication. Constant update. This is updated, let me see, 2014. And now they pull in the Chinese. They say that, you know, Dorje Shugden are Chinese spies. Online, you hear Chinese dogs. Which government on this planet has a website that is so dedicated to just one singled out religion, condemning it, making sure discrimination is upheld? I don't know any except Central Tibetan Administration's website. This is not democracy, ladies and gentlemen. It's cruel. It is filled with discrimination. It's unkind. There is no need to uphold any good moral ground to look good and feel good and preach that you practice democracy when there is in reality a group of people, about 4 million of them, known as Dorje Shugden practitioners, who do not receive the equality and fairness of democracy. On behalf of the Dorje Shugden practitioners, I ask, no, in fact, I firmly demand that the CTA review their standards of executing the true meaning of a democracy. Be fair. Give equal rights to all your citizens. Be sincere when you give them the choice to choose their religious practices. Do not penalize them when they do. Start by removing all this discrimination against them from your website. On this note, I pray for the unity, harmony, and happiness for all Tibetan people. Most of all, for the Dorje Shugden practitioners.